Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Get in the Garage.
We're a music podcast.
For music lovers.
As always, we've got a great show planned for you today, full of fun laughs and legal news provided by Luke. We finally have legal news from Luke. Order in the court. But before we do, don't forget to like and comment and subscribe and share the podcast with all your friends and families. It's the best music podcast on the web right now, guys. So
It's the best music podcast ever made. Tell a stranger.
Tell a stranger. Well, what can you tell for some potential strangers what to expect for this episode, Luke, while I cue up the music here?
We have music news, as always, keeping you informed. We are going to talk about our favorite last track songs from albums, just like we did a couple weeks ago where we did the first track of songs. Then we are going to talk about the new music reviews from Drake and 21 Savage.
21.
And then we're going to talk about the new album from artist Joji. Is that how you pronounce that?
Yes.
I have not said it out loud to anyone else. I'm glad I did it right. Let's get in the garage.
Let's get in the garage. Yeah, here. We're fine. Jesus.
I mean, I did say it out loud to you, and you didn't correct me, so
Yeah.
fair. That's usually my go-to. Or when I say it out loud, and Jeff's like, I'm close.
Wrong. All right.
Order in the court.
Order
Here's
in the court.
our music legal news.
Here we go.
We are talking about the new album from Drake and 21 Savage, and they have been sued
21.
by Vogue, 21. And so with their album, they made a promotional fake magazine that's like a fake Vogue where they're on the cover. It looks pretty cool, but they are not on the cover of Vogue. It is a fake thing to promote their album. They also name check Vogue on the album as well, so that's to do with the whole thing, why they're using it. They used Vogue's trademark, which is why they're suing them, and they also sued them because they gave the editor of Vogue a fake thank you, like it was all cool and like fine and great, which it was not. So they are suing Drake and 21 Savage for $4 million and profits from their album. So let's see if they get that. Let's see if this is like a fair use fun thing, because it is and it isn't. Like, I've seen album art parodies that are like very close to actual products and like, you know, things like that. Look back on Paul Simon's Chrome for the probably origins of these kind of lawsuits, because he did get sued by Kodak for writing that song, and that's kind of like the same kind of thing here, where they're using it as album promotion, so it's a little different.
Yeah, I'm just surprised that they didn't just try to make sure that was okay.
They did.
You know?
Well, here's the deal. They did reach out to Vogue, and Vogue was like, hey, guys, probably not. And they were like, we're going to do it anyway. So that's why the lawsuit is really happening. So there was a back and forth between the two of them that, you know, and this is what happened. So that is the legal news.
Well,
Order in the court.
To piggyback off of sort of rap news, I don't know if you guys saw, but Snoop Dogg is finally getting a biopic.
Oh, I thought you were going to bring us with that other Snoop Dogg news.
Oh, what was the other Snoop Dogg news?
The other Snoop Dogg news. Back to the legal court. I didn't really want to bring it up, but Snoop Dogg is being dragged into court for sexual assault allegations or something, sexual misconduct allegations of the sort, and he wants to get thrown out. I saw on Rolling Stone, but I didn't want to really bring it up because it felt like weird, and I haven't really super dived deep into it. So
yeah.
Well,
on the lighter side of Snoop Dogg's life.
On the lighter side of Snoop Dogg's I thought you were going to go heavy with us. I went heavy. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, no. There's a biopic for Snoop Dogg that's in the works. It is going to be directed by Alan Hughes, who did Menace to Society and Dead Presidents, and writer Joe Robert Cole will be involved. He did Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. He's going to be a producer. And it's going to be released through Death Row Pictures, which is this offshoot of Death Row Records, and I guess Snoop Dogg bought Death Row Records earlier this year.
Yeah, he's the CEO. Did you not watch the Joe Rogan interview?
Hello.
Oh, yeah, I did watch the Joe Rogan interview.
Yeah, where he told you he was the CEO of Death Row Records
yeah,
like a bajillion and 10 times.
A record label that currently has almost half of their things non-streaming services because of legal stuff.
Yeah. Well, what can you do? That's Suge Knight, man. Bad dude. Anyway, so we'll see how the biopic turns out. I'm interested in seeing, apparently this was something that's been in the works for like quite some time, or at least the idea for it has been in the works for quite some time. But now Snoop Dogg has the means to bring that, vision to fruition.
Will Rami Malek be playing Snoop Dogg?
Will Rami Malek be playing Snoop Dogg? Yes, they're gonna get
We can
dentures
only
for
hope.
him.
Dentures and long braids.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's gonna be the prosthetic nose. They're gonna like put it, give him like Snoop's nose.
They're just gonna put instead of trying to catch any flack, they're just gonna dress him like a dog.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So it'll be sort of this artistic.
Like,
It's
Yeah.
meta. It's
Yeah.
meta.
It's
I like
meta.
that.
Yeah,
It's
he's
Wilfred.
Bow wow.
You know what?
wow.
I could see that being successful.
Yeah,
Like
right.
I
a
would
cartoon
so-
version of Snoop Dogg.
If-
Just like the doggy stuff.
Yeah.
Doggy style album.
Right.
That would be so funny.
Yeah.
If it was.
Well, he might get in trouble though, Remy. He might for dog face. We don't know. If that's good. We don't know.
I only if it's animated monkey bone style am I into this idea.
Oh, Monkey. Oh, what a weird movie. Did you ever see Monkey Bone? Anyway, this is a music podcast.
No, I walked right by it every time in the movie store.
Brendan Fraser, man.
Brendan
It's a
Fraser.
classic. I think Whoopi's in it too.
This past weekend was the 37th annual Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction ceremony. We hit the list. Go back in the vaults to an episode where we talk about that because I don't really care to name them all. But the most interesting clip that I saw was Eminem's acceptance speech, in which he pulls out a notebook and he reads an alphabetical list of artists who inspired him and influenced him. And it's like 7 minutes of him just reading names because he lists everyone literally from A to Z.
Yeah.
And it's very cool. It's very worth watching because you see a lot of artists that are underground people that he mentions that I had never heard these names.
Right.
But he's up there on stage in front of the world, putting them in the same sentence as Run DMC and LL Cool J and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Just a good video, so search it out. It's on the internet.
It was a good performance too. He had Ed Sheeran come out and do "Stand" with him. He had Steven Tyler come out and do "The Sing for the Moment."
Sure.
Did you see Rob Halford and Dolly Parton singing
yeah.
together?
Mm-mm.
Oh, it was a great picture. It was really good.
Yeah.
Pretty great. And also, not without the drama, Sheryl Crow dropped out singing for Carly Simon last minute. And so there was
Alanis Morissette.
Oh, I'm
I thought.
sorry. Said it wrong.
Sorry to
Alanis
Sheryl
Morissette.
Crow.
Sorry, Sheryl Crow.
No.
You know why? It's because I was talking about Sheryl Crow this afternoon with Michael because it was playing when we went to Cumberland Farms.
Get a nice hot slice.
Yes, so there was get that hot slice from Cumbies. Get it on. Sponsor us, Cumbies.
Sponsor Cumberland Farms. We'll eat your pizza every podcast. Or at least Luke and I will.
Give me those slushies.
It was old too. It was an old slice. Perfect. Aged.
But so like
Alanis Morissette.
she
Sorry.
dropped out singing last minute because she was like, this isn't really like a woman's space, and that was kind of like disappointing. But so there's all that. There's always drama around the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and she's probably not wrong. So there's that.
Yes.
Yes. Did you guys see that Paul Weller from the bands The Jam and Style Council was saying some not so nice stuff about Robert Smith of The Cure?
I did.
Yeah, it's.
He called him a.
Can I give you the quote?
Yeah, please just quote it.
Trigger warning. Exclaimer. Quote, "I can't fucking stand them," he said. "Fat fucking cunt with his lipstick and all that bollocks. He's my age as well, isn't he? He's a fucking knob end. I don't like him." There you go. There's something I would work with. I'd fucking slap him or something.
Knob End is pretty good.
It is.
Knob end, yeah.
You gotta be.
With his lipstick and all
British.
that bollocks.
You gotta be straight though. Cure got way more classic albums than the Jam. It's not even close.
Yeah, I mean, I went and I was like, "Who the fuck
It's
is the
not
Jam
even-
again?" And I
that's-
listened and I was like, "Oh, there's like the one."
The Jam
top-
or the Who from the late '70s.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
The Who cares more like. But yeah, that was.
It was pretty good. I
it
got
was pretty
one
funny.
that could have went in legal news, but I didn't put it here. Did you see that New York did something against the ticket websites where you have to put what the actual price of the ticket is before you buy it? So when you go in and then you're like, oh, it's a $20 ticket, and then you're done and you're like, how did this turn into a $45 ticket with all the service fees? It has to give you all the
Oh,
service
yeah,
fees
yeah.
straight out front. so it can't do that.
Before you go to enter credit card.
Right,
and all
so
that.
that's just going to be in New York State, so that's a little bit disappointing, but the transparency of the pricing in that state will hopefully lead to some better outcomes, and New York obviously has one of the biggest, most cloudy venues of all time, Madison Square Garden, so we're going to see how that goes with all of that, so very interesting.
Yes.
Yeah, just put it out there. I mean, you're going to end up paying that price, so just
agree.
fucking put it there.
Yeah, it's like, who cares?
Like, you don't get an airplane ticket for $109, and then at the end you're like, oh, wow, it's actually $170. It's like...
Yeah, fair pricing.
Yeah, so just
See
put
what it is.
put it out there. Right.
Completely agree.
I have some more music news. Jeff, do you have anything else?
I don't at
Okay.
this time.
Well, I have something else that's kind of
Let's hear
funny,
it.
freaky music news. The 1975's Matt Healy sat and touched himself and ate an entire raw steak at a Madison Square Garden
Oh my
show.
gosh,
I
did
guess I was
see
going to
that.
talk about that. They had a live stream of their show on Amazon this past weekend.
Yeah, it was in front of like a old-fashioned tube-looking television. There was like lamps
Yeah.
and stuff. And
I
then he-
didn't look into why he did it. Is it like a meat is
The
murder?
statement,
Is it
man.
meat is murder kind of thing?
Sure.
But like, I don't know. It was wild.
I didn't
right?
watch the show, unfortunately. I forgot about it. And I didn't watch it.
Well, there was just like a clip from the audience that I saw on Instagram, which of this event, but like, and I was like, I gotta look into like what's going on there, but like, I didn't look into what was going on there. It's a disturbing video. It's just like him like eating a raw like piece of meat. It's weird.
Come on, man. You aren't on the carnivore diet?
It's weird. Listen, it's only weird because I expect it from like, some certain bands, right? Like
Sure.
I'm like, cool, whatever, fine, I don't care, do whatever you want. But from the 1975, I was just like, oh, this seems shocking.
Like, I love you. I love you.
Yeah, exactly.
Society is crumbling.
Eat the meat. So it also gave me like weird like Yoni guy vibes of like peeing in the jar and like hitting your junk and
It's
like
called Urun, okay?
Yeah.
so it was
Have some
weird. So
respect
I don't
for
know what it's
sexual
all
kung
about. If meat is murder's the deal, sure, cool.
But why would he be eating it as the statement of
I
meat is
don't
murder?
know, man.
He should be like stomping on it and being like, bad steak, bad.
Maybe he's just hungry.
What a maybe he was just hungry. He's just like, well, there's no better time than the present, so I guess I'll just eat dinner now. Did you see Rick Ross, guys? Rick Ross is a hoarder. Did you catch that?
I didn't.
There's a viral video of Rick Ross like in his house and his like entire, what would you call it? The entryway to what seems to be this elegant
Sure.
mansion and stuff is just filled with shit.
I'm
like
gonna-
clothes and shoes and all of this, and people were like, Rick Ross, you're like a hoarder. And he's like, I'm not a hoarder. I'm not a hoarder. And it's like, well, your house looks like a hoarder house, man. What do you know?
He has stacks of goblets.
It's just
I bet
diamond
you-
encrusted
What
goblets.
is this?
I bet you more celebrities are hoarders than you think. Like that episode, or not that
Yeah.
episode, but that like Michael Jackson terrible documentary where they did that like horrible, weird
That's
yellow,
still,
yellow
like-
journalism.
Yeah.
But anyway, that one where he was being like a super.
Oh,
super,
yeah, there he is.
Here's this mansion full of.
Yeah, look, and he's
Junk.
smoking a blunt.
Yeah, there's junk
Yeah, look at
everywhere.
that.
Piles of clothes.
Yeah, but when you're a rich person, that's when everyone sends you free shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like,
Which is
remember,
weird.
like Michael Jackson had that whole hotel floor filled with garbage from Las Vegas that he was just buying.
Yeah, remember
while
when
he was
he's
staying
he's
there?
like walking through that like expensive antique store, whatever it
buy
is. He's just like,
Easy.
I'll take 3 of those
Dinosaur
vases.
heads
He just
and
starts
stuff.
pointing.
Yeah,
He's like,
yeah.
"Look at that."
$300,000 chess set.
Yes.
Yeah, the 3 right. Yeah. And
Yeah.
then he's like, Michael, don't you already have a chest? And he's like, yes, but this one's bigger and
But
nicer.
we play checkers with this one. What?
I just want to also
No
note
sense, Mike.
that Michael Jackson, that documentary that came out, shed some light on some terrible,
Are you
horrible
talking
things.
about, are you
I'm
talking about
this-
Finding Neverland?
Yeah, that like
Or
terrible
whatever that was
TV
called?
special. It was
Escaping
just a weird
Neverland?
like
Surviving
TV special that like wasn't in depth enough and wasn't out of. You know what
Oh,
I'm saying?
see, I liked that one
Oh.
from like 2002
Yeah, it
with the
was
Indian
so-
man who's
Yeah,
the-
right. That
Yeah.
I
one.
like that one.
Yeah, I like
Oh.
that one.
That
too.
was the first one where the world was like,
It's-
Wait a
oh,
minute.
this guy.
Yeah. How many
It's just
Fabergé
like-
eggs does this one person need?
A baker's dozen.
Baker's dozen.
This is-
10,000
this is the
Fabergé
thing.
eggs.
This is the thing. Go in and just be like the same dude the whole time, but
Yeah.
he's like being like, I'm your kind of your friend, and then
Yeah,
like
right.
when he's behind it,
Exploitative.
yeah, it was like that kind of thing, and
I
I'm
love
like,
that
oh, just I don't
Yeah.
know, that feels weird. It's
Anyway.
weird enough when you don't have to say anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just show
So
what
Ri-
you saw.
Rick Ross, we'll see. Maybe he'll donate all that stuff to charities and
Yeah, maybe.
Oh.
I'm not sure. Anyway, so shall we move on to the obituary side of our music news? Because I feel like we got quite a few. We had a few losses this week.
Yes. Can I start the table?
Please, yes.
As a person of a certain age, Aaron Carter was on Nickelodeon when I was a young man.
Oh, yes.
And he beat Shaq and had some great songs. Aaron's House, my friend Cameron can sing all the lyrics to these songs.
Shout out Cameron.
Shout out Cameron. Yeah, Aaron Carter, rest in peace. 34 years old. Really, a child star that struggled, and I don't really know what happened in the situation, but it was really tragic because he was a talented person, younger brother of Nick Carter from the Backstreet Boys, and
Our age.
Yeah, really.
They said they just found him in his bathtub in like his house in California or something.
So
like that.
hopefully it was but it's very very sad because he had some struggles, and it was
Oh
yeah, for sure. Well, rest in peace, Aaron Carter.
I got an RIP if anybody else.
Yes, go ahead.
This week, Mimi Parker, vocalist and drummer of the now duo Low, passed away. We reviewed Low's album a couple months ago, and that album was called Hey What, I think.
Yes, it was. If you do not remember, it was the one
We
that
kept
was
saying the
very
name wrong.
loud
the whole
and
episode.
distorted. It was the one that had the crazy distortion and like the very beautiful vocals that went all the way through it.
Yeah.
And the album cover is that like
Gray.
blurry TV looking static thing.
Okay. Yeah.
Very talented musician, long career. A band that I've only even got into since we listened to that album, since Luke recommended us check that album out. So yeah, passed away this week, and I think she was like maybe early 50s. So I don't know what happened, but
Yeah.
Very sad. Great artist.
I've got another RIP as well.
Wrap us up, Mike.
Former Nazareth frontman Dan McCafferty passed away at age 76. It didn't give a cause of death, but Nazareth, for those who might know or might not know,
this is terrible.
Why? They
We should have started yours first.
Yeah.
why?
Because
Continue, please. Respect. We'll respect.
Because two were like very like untimely, and then yours is like this man died of old age. Now you're messing with the son of a bitch.
76.
This man from a band nobody likes.
Hair of the dog, man. Come on. What are you talking about? Listen,
If
Love Hurts.
Genesis sucked more.
Listen, I'd like to shout out some Nazareth dudes. This flight tonight, a cover of Joni Mitchell. Love Hurts, a cover of the Everly Brothers.
R.I.P.
Taken away too soon.
Nazareth's
sorry.
biggest hit, another Dust in the Wind. Oh wait, that was a much better but still bad band.
We're sorry, we're crapping on your rest in peace, Mike.
Yeah, all right, it's fine. But rest in peace to Dan McCafferty, who was taken too soon.
Listen,
It's not 1983. He's 85 years old.
He was 76. God damn it, 76 is the new 66. Don't you know this?
next time we have rest in peace shout outs, we need to discuss this before we go on Mike, so we can figure out which one's the least important.
The least important. Says you, all right? Love Hurts was like the makeout anthem for
This
like
83-year-old guy who used to play at the bar down the street, he died last weekend too. Who gives a shit?
Jesus Christ. All right. Well, either way, Nazareth, check them out. They're gonna hit it big one day. Look, Luke's getting the Nazareth. Are you getting the Nazareth record? We should have put it out in honor of Dan.
I
man.
have like 8, man. That's the problem. I'm doing this
I love
conversation.
how I'm the one being made fun of for giving an RIP. Luke's got 8 of the same one album of this garbage band.
Sometimes you need it.
I have 8 different albums.
Good Lord. All right. Well, that wraps up
I'm
the obituaries
sweating.
for crying out loud.
Oh my god.
R.I.P.
Good God. All right. Let's Jeff, why don't you usher us into this last
another
bit?
newsy thing, a new, what was that pop punk when we were young
we were
thing.
When we were young.
So another one kind of like that was announced. It's called Sick New World. It will also be in Las Vegas, and this is like, instead of the emo pop punk crowd of our generation, it's going to be all of the eyeliner, sad gothy
My crowd.
new metal.
new metal-y, whatever.
crowd.
It's a festival headlined by System of a Down, Korn, Deftones, Incubus, featuring a ton of bands from 95 to 2005, pretty much, with some newer ones that are up there. We thought it'd be fun looking at the poster for Sick New World. It came out, and I was just looking at like the 50 names on this list, and just like how the mighty have fallen. There's some bands on here that are like the 9th line, and they were huge bands in their time. So what we're gonna do, you can play along at home if you go on to Sick New World and look at the poster. If all of us can look at that, you get to select your line. Anything lower than the headlining 2, we'll
So
say.
Evanescence down.
You could start there. You could start on the line 3 if you want.
So this is the deal. You get to choose one line. Everybody play at home. This is
Yeah.
gonna be great.
All right, I gotta look now.
I know what line I'm going with.
Yeah, I don't know.
I know definitely what line I'm
Because
going.
I,
All right, you
I
go
know what
first
line
then,
I
Luke.
want to go, but there's bands in the line that I wanted.
You go for Oh, I see a good line now.
Okay, so,
So bad.
I'm gonna go with a bit of my, Okay, so here we go.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with the Filter line, because "Hey Man, Nice Shot" is a great song.
Oh,
Take
yeah?
a picture.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with Filter. Is that they sing that right?
Hey man,
Yep.
nice shot.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm
Featured
gonna,
on Tony Hawk Pro Skater. One of those.
Yeah, one
Sure.
or two. All right, read the other ones.
okay, and then we're gonna go with Luke's childhood favorite, the CD sitting on the shelf over there, Lacuna Coil.
Oh, here we
favorite.
When you're
Interesting.
down. The better Evanescence, in my opinion.
Oh,
Okay.
Then I'm gonna go with the Melvins, who I feel are a weird band on this lineup, seeing that the Melvins have been playing since like forever, and they kind of aren't this band at all, and they're more in the Black Flag, Sonic Youth,
Yeah.
Dinosaur Jr. kind of realm. So that's like a free treat for me because I actually enjoy the Melvins. I have no idea what Failure is, and I can't even read the last band.
That's something westward.
Stabbing westward.
Stabbing westward.
Stabbing Westward. Looks like I'm gonna have 2 new experiences, but
Hey, some new artists from 40 years
listen, when I was in the 6th grade, I saw
old stock.
I saw Lacuna Coil at Ozfest, and it changed my life. I bought that
Okay.
CD with the sunflower on the
Yep,
cover,
okay.
and I was really into it. So
Yeah.
I got excited
Okay.
for Lacuna Coil. I want to get excited again.
All right, Mike, do you have a line?
I do. I have
All right.
do
I know-
have a line.
go for it.
Let's
I know
go.
which one
All
you're
right.
going with.
So I'm gonna go with the Soulfly line.
Oh, you took my
I'm sorry.
Go with it though.
Oh, all right. Well,
No,
sorry
it's the best one.
for
That's
stealing
why.
your line.
So fun.
Soulfly. I can't really say that I'm super familiar with them though.
No,
what was
who
their big
cares?
song?
Who
It doesn't
cares?
matter.
But then the next
But
one.
let's go. All right. So
We are,
first
we
of all,
are.
you know who's the youth of the nation? We are. And look.
I bought that was the second CD I ever bought.
Oh,
So POD. Let's go. POD. Good God. The Center Band, which is a band that I've
that's
actually seen a
right,
couple
right.
times, and that's what drew me to
I
this.
knew
line
that's
anyway.
why you picked this one.
Fucking Seven Dust, baby. I love Seven Dust. They were like my fucking band back in
Yeah.
the day, dude.
Your middle band and my middle band were like legit like bands. You're like, I'm really still into that band.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I listened to Seven Dust more recently, and I was like, oh yeah, I can sing like every single line to like almost
Right.
every single song from this band. I absolutely love them. Next up,
Number 1 hit makers.
number 1 hit makers, Hoobastank.
What was their song?
Oh,
The Reason, bro.
Oh,
Yeah,
dude, he's not a perfect person.
He's not a perfect
not.
person. He's not a perfect songwriter either, for
so
that
good.
matter. But what can you do?
So good.
We're like Hooba stunk. And last but certainly not least, Alien Ant Farm, which I hope.
Yo, that was in that line. That's the best line in the whole
I
thing.
know.
hopefully
it is the best
that
song.
I hope that instead of playing a full half-an-hour set, they just play their version of Smooth Criminal 8 times and then just don't play anything else, because who gives a shit about any
gives a
other
shit?
songs that Alien Ant Farm
Do you
wrote?
remember
Oh.
sitting near the TV just waiting for them to play that stupid music
Oh,
video again? and
TRL,
that
man.
that kid
The
was
weird
moon-
guitar players like
They're all wearing Jinko jean
Yeah,
bell bottoms.
oh,
The
come
kid was
on, man.
walking down the sidewalk.
Yeah. Oh, amazing. So there is my line.
Jeff, what do you got for us?
All right. Listen, after that is the best line. But my backup line is third from the bottom. Cold.
Oh.
a band that was huge
I remember Cold.
for like this 18 months they were huge.
I was a Seven Dust listener. I know Cold very well.
Cradle of Filth,
Dude, the Cradle of Filth
which-
line, I almost went with that one too.
which is it's actually like a decent band.
Dude, their version of Hallowed Be Thy Name, that Iron Maiden cover.
Dude, Cradle of Filth is
Awesome.
a great band.
Yep.
Let's just say it.
Danny
They're,
Filth,
they're,
English
as far
black
as
metal.
goes.
Yeah.
And then
fronted by Ice-T, Body Count.
Yeah. The OGs, the original gangster,
yeah,
man.
man, Ice-T's Body Count is on this festival. Why wouldn't you go?
Yep. And then just like Luke, I've never heard of the Birthday Massacre or the 69 Eyes. So
But
hey,
you're
hot
willing-
new artists.
You're willing to sit through two new experiences just to witness
Yep.
some Cradle of Filth and
Yep.
Ice-T's Body Count. I hear
And
it.
Cold, though, man.
Yep.
I liked Cold. They were a good band.
Yep.
I enjoyed them. So, yeah, let us know in the comments below. What do you...
Do you also see the Mr. Bungle on
Of
here?
course,
I
Mr.
did
Bungle
see the
is
Mr.
a
Bungle,
bit
yeah.
out of place on this lineup, right? I thought Mr.
No.
Bungle was a more of like an artier version of kind of all that, and same
Yeah,
with like
but
the
like,
Melvins.
you know, they're arty. Orgy's pretty arty.
But like,
Not.
but like Mr. Bungle next to
Yeah,
like
weird,
next to
weird.
Flyleaf was
Right.
weird because Flyleaf was like a very very mainstream band.
Mr.
Yeah.
Bungle is more of a band like Primus, like strange, circusy, weirdo.
The thing was, I
but-
was like, they're stupid high on that lineup. They're this is what you said. Like
Yeah.
some people's stock, Mr. Bungle stock, whoo, rising way up there at the top of that
Right.
flyer. Where before they would have been way at the bottom of this flyer.
Yeah, for me, okay, if you want to do a quick one, like Chevelle, I'm like, all right.
Oh, I was just
like,
about to say that's
I
love that stuff.
I like
They're
Chevelle.
two albums from
I like Chevelle,
Whatever.
but I'm like, I don't like. They're high on the. I don't know. I feel like they're kind of high on the lineup too.
How
But
about-
it's personal taste.
how about really came back after 20 years of wandering the desert, Papa Roach.
Oh yeah.
Remember how they got big again last year?
Yeah,
And now they're
Yeah.
like the classic rock of 15-year-olds.
dude.
Yeah, very
I've
strange.
talked to people who went to go see Papa Roach, and they were like, they put on a great
Yeah.
show.
So strange.
Cut my life into
Also,
so strange.
Villovallo rocking the
Yep.
him artwork, but not being backed by him. It's just like solo
Right,
stuff.
right.
Yeah,
Very-
yeah, the heartogram.
I guess
or
you
whatever
own the
that is.
heartogram at that
Yeah.
point, but no, you know.
How about
Yeah, I don't
straight in
know.
the center, man? Two actually really good bands that are kind of like the grandpas of this whole thing. Ministry and Skinny Puppy.
Oh, bro, I went to go see a Skinny Puppy show.
Oh no, Ministry was like the first industrial band.
Yeah.
So predated the Nine Inch Nails stuff by like 2 years. And then Skinny Puppy is what's the main dude behind that?
I don't know, but I went to a
He
Skinny
has a shaved
Puppy
head now.
show because a band I like, Terrible Things, opened up.
Yeah. Skinny Puppy's good.
Oh,
What the fuck's that
I
guy's
left
name?
I
before
don't
they
know.
played.
Alex, are you looking it up? What's his name?
Who are we looking for?
Skinny Puppy.
Which member in particular?
Lead
Just
singer.
The main guy.
The main guy.
There's Kevin Key,
Is it
No.
Kevin? No? No?
Nivek Ogri, or Mark Walk. There's 3 past members. Dwayne Godel, Dave quotes Rave Oglivy, and Bill Lieb.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Either
I would
way.
I would recognize his face more than his name. But anyway, another industrial band.
But can I also just say, man, hell yeah, System of a Down being the headliner. I was pretty
Of
excited when
course.
I saw that. I'm like, fuck yeah.
course.
I love System of a Down.
What about 100 Gex?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, I'm having a heart attack.
All right. Well, all right. Let's move on because we have we're running short on time here for this first segment. So let us do a quick little rundown
Album
of
closers.
our favorite album closers. We can do it like we did last time. I think didn't each of us
I
Hit
brought
our
visual
5.
aids.
Wow.
hit our five? Okay, Luca with the visual. So Luke, why don't you hit us off since you have the visual aids?
I'm gonna go with a new classic here. Snail Mail Valentine. I'm gonna go with the track Mia. It is an acoustic track with beautiful orchestration. It is very sad. If you just had a breakup, you will cry. I like it. It ties the album together very well. It's a good ending statement. And that's what I'm looking for on closing tracks. I got another sad one for you. Here we go. Bring out the tears. We got Bob Dylan's Blood in the Tracks. Buckets of Rain, the last song on the album. I think it ties the album together well. It's acoustic finger pick number, which is very different from Bob. He usually doesn't finger pick. He does it pretty badly, and there's some bad loud string pops on it. I love it. It's really good. Ends things pretty well. This is my controversial pick that I picked, and I know you guys are gonna hate it. It's the last
Good
song
Night.
on the White Album, Good Night. Ringo Starr singing. I think John Lennon wrote
hate
this
it.
song. Okay, I thought you guys were gonna be like, oh, that's like
It doesn't end with wild onion pie.
I thought you guys were going to be like,
Sadly.
that's a super weird choice because there's other Beatles albums that arguably end with way more classic songs. But I like the sentimental sweetness of Ringo singing.
Orchestra and all that stuff.
I think that's a John Lennon song as well. I'm going to go with another more modern one. We have Weezer, the closing track, Only in Dreams. It has a beautiful bass line. Also, if you're in the Death Cab for Cutie, Kath sounds a lot like this song.
Exactly like it.
Yep, Only in Dreams is a beautiful song. It's probably one of the best songs Weezer ever wrote. Check it out. Love it. Album closer for their most classic album, the Blue Album. And then I chose album openers last week with Brown Sugar. I'm going to go back to that album and choose Moonlight Mile from the Rolling Stones. It is probably my top 3 favorite Rolling Stones songs. I think it's one of the best songs Jagger sings. The drums at the end are beautiful. The orchestration at the end is beautiful. And again, I think it ties this album together so well. And I don't think the Stones ever hit that kind of mood in a song again, and it's very magical for them. So,
Yeah.
one of my favorite Stones songs.
Right on. Okay, for my top 5, or well, my 5, I'll say. I try to just kind of go with just more stuff that's just like off the rip. I wasn't really trying to think too heavy into them. I'm gonna do the same thing that Luke did, which is kind of go back to an album that I chose for my top 5. I chose the opening track on Dark Side of the Moon. I love the closing track on Dark Side of the Moon, Eclipse. Even though Brain Damage kind of runs into it, I think those two go together nicely as
It's
like
the
an
same
album,
song.
sort of a wrap up. Love it, love it, love it. It's Dark Side of the Moon. It's one of the greatest albums ever made. Next, I'm gonna go metal. Progressive metal. I'm gonna go with Between the Buried and Me. They released an album called Colors. The last track on that album is a song called White Walls, which I love so much. It ends with, like this awesome sort of climactic kind of guitar solo back and forth thing between the guitar players and everything. It's awesome. Also, check out their live album. There's video of it as well, and they play the entire album note for note, front to back, which is incredibly impressive. The highlight of that being White Walls. Next, I'm going to go with Nas, Illmatic. It Ain't Hard to Tell. It's the last track on that album. It samples Human Nature. It's that Michael Jackson sample. And it also samples Long Red from the band Mountain, the drum track.
On time,
from that,
Jack.
From that as well. Fourth, I'm going to go with my boys in Deep Purple off of Machine Head. The song is Space Truckin'. I love that song. Check out that version of that on their Made in Japan album. It's absolutely incredible. It's how long?
That's like 21 minutes long. I
There
think.
you go. My kind of song.
Should have been 22.
Should have been. Only if.
21.
21.
Thank you.
and my last song is one of my favorite bands, one of my favorite albums from one of my favorite bands. It is The Doors. It's Riders on the Storm. I love this song. I love this album. I think the whole, everything about this song is great. I used to hate it, and now I could listen. I could listen to it on repeat.
That closes
I just love
L.A.
it.
Woman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rain
Yep.
Stick.
Cool.
So there you have it.
Nice.
Jeffrey.
My 5, album closer. We want like a succinct statement at the end of the piece. My number 5 is the last segment of a song cycle by Marvin Gaye called What's Going On. The last track is Inner City Blues, Make Me Want to Holler, which is like one of the most hypnotic bass lines, triangle hits, some Bobby Hall bongos, and just beautiful song. And it wraps it up, and it kind of brings like the theme from What's Going On, the first track, at the very end. My number 4 is the last track off of Kanye West's Yeezus, and it's Bound 2, which has an iconic, corny music video that's like very interesting when you look back at it 10 years later. It's an album of like kind of a brutal assault, and then it's like this nice kind of what Kanye West can do for a love song. A great track. My number 3 is an instrumental by Snarky Puppy called Lingus. It's the last track off their live in the studio album We Like It Here, famously featuring a keyboard solo by Corey Henry, which is like a 4-minute solo. You can watch a video online, and it's like absolute jazz fusion madness. Like the drum beat and the groove and the song is so cool. And then you get to a guy who's like playing this crazy stuff, like looking off into space in two hands, two different keyboards playing the same line. And you're like, what is going on right now?
I love seeing the other guy's reactions to him playing while he's playing it.
Right.
Definitely worth watching.
My number 2, I think the album opener of this album was my number 1 on openers. It's the closer of Prince's Purple Rain, the title song. It is Purple Rain. It's the 7 minutes of excellence. It's a live with some overdubs, but it was the first show that the guitar player Wendy played at. They played it in Minneapolis, and it's just like crazy to think that such an iconic song was played live. And then it has this like overdubbed string, like 2-minute outro thing. That's cool. And my number 1 is the song True Love Waits off of a Moon-Shaped Pool by Radiohead that came out in 2016. And I picked this as my number 1 because True Love Waits is a song that Radiohead tried in various forms for over 20 years. And Tom York wrote the song, they think in like 93, 94, because he started playing it live in 95, and it was strummy, like acoustic stuff, like how Creep is in their first 2 albums. And then over 20 years, it like morphed in different incarnations to be this minimalist piano, strange, like ambient thing. They didn't change the lyrics, they didn't change the melody, but now it's with this piano that you can hear, like they mic the metal, the hammers of the piano, so it has this like creaky sound. And it's a song that's just like crazy because he wrote it, like he started dating a woman, Rachel Owen, when basically right before the band got signed, and they were together for 23 years. And then at the time he was making this album, they separated, and then they like put this song that he possibly wrote about her on the record as the closer, and then she died like 5 months after the album came out.
Jesus.
So they amicably separated during the recording process. They put out this haunting, like, oh my God, a love song this guy's probably wrote for this woman when they were both like 27 and now they're about 50. And it's just like this magical, hypnotic 4 minutes, and then she dies later that year. And it's just like, it's crazy. Yeah. It's like the way that music like goes past eras and time and space and like people's lives and stuff. So I just think it's like crazy.
Yeah,
that was a good one.
Yeah.
Nice
there you have it. What are
some
of your favorite album closers? Let us know in the comments below. All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll come back. 2 new album reviews.
21. Not 21 album reviews.
21 album reviews. We'll be right back. This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Hofner Guitars. I have here the Hofner Shorty. It is a full-scale, travel-size guitar. You can find this and all of their products at hofnerguitars.com. All right, everybody, welcome back to Get in the Garage.
We're the music podcast.
For music lovers.
Time for our 2 new album reviews. This week, we've got an exciting pairing of... all right.
Some editorial selections there. Yes. Continue.
An interesting pairing.
We are excited to bring you.
We are excited. Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, so the latest from Drake, he did a collaboration album with 21 Savage. The name of the album is Her Loss.
It's Her Loss.
Yeah, Her Loss.
Yes, that's the attitude. Her Loss.
Yes, it's an interesting album. From what I have seen about it, it seems maybe there's like some mixed reviews. We'll definitely get into our opinions.
You're gonna hear a couple more of them.
Yeah, you're gonna hear a few more. I mean, what did you guys think of this record? I'm kind of like I had moments where I was like, I think I like this record. And then I was like, fuck this record.
You know,
and then
that
I was like, I think I like this record.
You know that TikTok meme where the guy's like, it's all right.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
Yeah.
It's all right.
It's all right. It's all right.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like Drake. I would say Drake did kind of a similar thing, doing a team up collaborative album a few years ago. A few meaning possibly like 8 years ago with Future.
Right, yeah.
Forget the name of that, but it had diamonds dancing and big rings and blah blah. It has a bunch of diamonds on the cover. And that was like Drake going with a guy who has a very different flow and style and musical approach than him, someone who has a very different lifestyle, history, background than him, because 21 Savage is a guy who was committing robberies and
Yeah.
getting shot and shooting other people and all these alleged / not so alleged things. And Drake puts on his big puff starter jacket from the 90s and acts like tough guy Drake. And I'm not the expert on tough guys or street life or any of that stuff, but I know when I hear it, I'm just like, I don't know. It's not that authentic, and I like very authentic music, so it's all right.
So that's like one of the problems I kind of had with this collaboration as well. It felt like 21 Savage was really giving you just kind of like more or less aspects of his life, whether or not those are. And then it comes to like my other problem with this record. So it's like a twofold thing. So 21 Savage kind of is just giving you things of his life where it may or may not be the morally correct thing, but it's just the thing.
Sure.
Right. And then we have, like what you were saying, Drake is kind of the guy who was on Degrassi, and we know him from when he was young and, all that stuff. So you have Drake kind of being, like, some way on this record where I was, like, a lot of the ways I was like, oh, you're kind of being a straight up like misogynist in like a lot of weird ways and like a lot of hateful ways, not like funny ways. Cause like there's a way to make fun of misogyny and be in on the joke and like play around with those ideas if you think that they are, whatever. But I think, like I'm saying right now, and a lot of critics are starting to come around on this bend too. I think we're done with the out of nowhere, just like misogyny on like Drake records or hip hop records or any records in general, because it just doesn't feel necessary the whole time. It felt like this could have been a party, like a really fun
Right.
get together party. And so like now that I said like the things I don't like about it, like. Even the Daft Punk sampled song, which
Circa
Loco, that song to me is like, this is the example. Is such a great fucking song. It's such a great banger, really cool, love it. The Meg Thee Stallion diss in it, which is the main thing that's going around right now, feels weird and not necessary in the moment, and just not even.
But also, it's just like
on.
It's a one line. It's kind of a bad pun, whatever reference. And it's like me personally, move on past. There's 60 more minutes of music, but
see that's
headline clicks and stuff.
That's me too. Is move on past. If the rest of the record didn't also run the same tone, so that was where it's at.
What are your thoughts, Mike?
Yeah, I felt the same way. My thing is it's just like I think I said it before when we were talking about the last album, Honestly Nevermind. I'm just like I've kind of just had it with like sad boy hip hop. I mean, I don't think I think I said this before too. Like, there's a difference between sort of like being like doing the sad thing and like being vulnerable, and I don't feel like we got any vulnerability from Drake on this record. I felt like we got of like resentment and like kind of just like, well, I'm rich and I can get everything that I want except a woman, even though I treat women poorly. Why are women bitches? Why are women bitches? Even though I treat everyone that I meet poorly. And it's just like, all right, like, dude, just it's just like I don't and like the braggadocious sort of like I have money bragging thing and stuff like that. That's not a foreign concept, especially in hip hop. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of always been a thing. I'm not saying that that's not a thing, but it's just kind of like, man, maybe it's just that like that sort of level of money and success does something to a person, and maybe that's just what happened with Drake. I don't really know. I did see a lot of reviewers talking about how they did feel like this was sort of a mismatch. There was a track on not Honestly Nevermind. What was the one before that?
Certified Lover Boy.
Certified Lover Boy, where Drake did feature 21 Savage. I think it was called, what is it?
Jimmy Cooks.
No, I was Knife Talk. And
Jimmy
also,
Cooks was Honestly Nevermind.
Yeah, so Knife Talk, and shout out to our buddy James from work, because he recommended that I listen to that song, because that is the song that he had given me as an example of being like, well, I heard Drake with 21 Savage on that track, and that was kind of what I had expected from this album, and that was not really what this album delivered. He also said, what did he say today? Oh,
he said he said that kind of like at this point with Drake and his like emotional women problems. Drake is the Taylor Swift of rap, which is not an off statement because his female centric themed records are very Taylor Swift.
And I get, listen, man, like, and I get it, but it's also just kind of like, and I think that's we were talking. You even said it earlier today, where it's just like maybe Drake is just kind of like aging out, and it's like, you know, I don't know, it just doesn't. It's just kind of like one of those things where it's just like, hey, man, you're like, you know.
Well, let's talk about what worked, because there were some things that weren't terrible on this record, and and I want to note a masterful improvement on what I thought the last record was. Honestly,
this is much different than Honestly Nevermind.
I found the pairing somewhat interesting because Drake does a lot of singing on this record, and Drake is Mr. Personality and Mr. Chameleon and kind of can do a little bit of everything, and 21 Savage is like, I am very flat and I say my raps like this, and it's just very like monotone is not the right way, but it's flat is the best way I can describe it.
Right.
Where it's just kind of like, here's what it is. So I thought that 21 Savage was could be underwhelming and boring because I found some of his other stuff underwhelming and boring, and some of his best things that I've heard were on this record. The opener I really liked. What's it called? Big Flex or
Rich
something?
Flex.
Rich Flex,
yeah.
And I was like, oh, 21 Savage kind of like getting a lot more personality by being paired with Mr. Personality. And Drake, like we talked about how we know his history. Maybe, I mean, when you are 37 and you have now become a multimillionaire, you kind of become a gangster because you have to have like private security detail and people with guns around you and stuff like that, and people trying to rob you and making threats and stuff like that. So it does make sense. It's not like I'm saying this rich 37-year-old guy is a fake gangster. I'm saying like, no, he probably has gotten tougher and harder and more like that as he's gotten more successful. So I didn't find all of the stuff so like caricaturist, but I liked some tracks. I really liked that opener, Rich Flex. I really liked Middle of the Ocean, which was a Drake solo,
one of the
which
best
I was
songs
like,
on the record.
I thought, damn, this is like a 6.5 minute or whatever it is. Like it would have fit perfectly on the third album. I like Nothing Was the Same. It like had that kind of like OJ's sample soul beat and stuff. Very, very good song.
Also, no trap beat on that song too, which was interesting. There's a lot of trap
it was a
beat on this
throwback.
record, and it was like a throwback kind of song. I was because you were like, "Oh, there's a lot of trap on here." I was like, "Oh yeah, you're right." And then that song rolled on. I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah."
Yeah, that was the one where I was like, "Oh yeah, cool." Finally.
Yeah, and another song. Not. I mean, I liked the beat switch on Rich Flex, the opener, which Drake has done a lot now. I liked the song Pussy and Millions. Mostly because I liked how everything kind of went to a different place once Travis Scott appeared. And I like Travis Scott and his energy and like his auto-tuned without being so repetitive. Like I find Future to be pretty repetitive melodically and like delivery-wise. So I thought like that second half of that song was buoyed by Travis Scott being on it.
I liked like that song too because it felt more like a party song, and I liked more where they were like getting together, kind of like partying and talking shit in like a fun way. Again, on BS, that was like another song I really liked on this record. On that bullshit. Because it kind of was like, yeah, we're in on all the this is we're talking shit. So that was great. I loved that song on here. Privileged Rappers was another one I thought was a pretty good tune on here. I liked that Drake put a chorus on the rap song. That was a good throw up. Or change up, not throw up. That's puke. But I'm also going to shout out 3 a.m. on Glenwood, 21 Savage.
Solo track.
This is honestly my favorite song in this whole record because it is the most emotional. It's the most true. It's 21 Savage giving you a moment in time of his life and what he's been through and who he is. And now I know 21 Savage a little bit better and I know where he comes from because that song was it was really, really good. It had a lot like the other solo Drake song that Jeff, shouted out, and it also has a lot to do with the Drake has the Numbers series on a lot of his records where
The timestamps.
yes,
yeah,
the timestamp
right.
songs, and 21 Savage now has a timestamp song on a Drake
Yeah.
record, which is
Yeah.
something of interest. So I definitely like those songs a lot.
Yeah.
There was as the album got down, like Broke Boys was, didn't like as much, but I love that Out the Gate Rich Flex Major Distribution, which is a bit of like a 2-minute just beat. But yeah, anytime they were like really together and especially switching off on verses, I liked when they tackled the verse together like old school Run DMC style. That was fun.
I wish there was more of that.
I wish this album was way more
Like
of
Watch
that.
the Throne. Remember Watch the Throne? I don't know
Yeah.
if you guys really listened to that full album, but that full album is like guys would Jay-Z and Kanye would each do verses, but there were a handful of songs where they're going line by line back and forth.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's like,
There was a
oh,
bit of that
shit.
too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Songs that I like too, probably same thing. Like I love 3 a.m. on Glenwood. I absolutely love that track. I thought that was great. I loved On Some Bullshit because like the whole time me and Luke were just like on some bullshit, on that bullshit. Pussy in Millions too. Yeah, it was great. I liked Hours in Silence. That was another track that I liked. That's kind of gives you that sort of like Drakey goodness thing that he does.
Oh
where
yeah,
he
you
does,
love
the
that. You're like, this is
sing-songy.
a sad Drake I like.
Yeah, that's the sad Drake I like. I'm about that. Middle of the Ocean too. I had written down. What is it? Spin About You. I like that track too.
Oh, Spin About You was cool, man.
Yeah, that was a cool track. I love. There's one I wrote it down because I love. Oh wait, I'm sorry. That's what I was saying. Spin About You has the classic singy songy. Hours in Silence is what I meant to say. It has the a great line that's like he said the smoke got me speaking in Dutch, which is just like that's kind of the wordsmithy stuff that I really really like because it's just like you smoke blunts or Dutches. The smoke got me speaking in Dutch. Like I like, you know what I'm saying?
Very
Like,
good.
It's the mathematics.
yeah,
Meme.
but yeah, right. But yeah, there were high points in this album.
Even
you
to
know?
say the points like I was critical about, like there were songs I really liked where like some of those elements were in it that I can listen to it and I can get on with my day. It's not gonna ruin my day.
Yeah.
But I'm saying like I thought the skillfulness could have been better. This whole album I listened to, I'm not like offended by anything Drake's said. It's not my personal taste to like listen to that kind of thing.
Same.
Yeah.
So, and I guess like at some point I was like a little offended, but not to anything where I wouldn't ever listen to it again. You know what I mean? Like it's not going to
Right,
stop me
right.
from listening to it.
Yeah.
So that's all I'm saying. I'm saying like a lot of the songs, like I liked it. It just had that element in it, which is something I don't like as much. So
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Hit us with some rankings
Yeah.
or some scores, I guess.
Let's go around table. Luca, would you like to just I don't for what it's worth? Pitchfork gave it a 6.4. So
Oh,
For what it's worth.
For what it's
I
worth.
rate a lot of albums around here. I'm gonna go, but I am gonna pitchfork it. I guess I'm gonna go like 6.8. I think it's like almost a 7. It's very listenable.
6.8.
It's a major improvement on his last record, which I rated a 5 on the show. I looked back to check because I was like, I don't know how I feel about this one at the time. Yeah, it's like a 6.8. I think it's almost a 7. Obviously all the elements I said, and I think it's just it could have been like a really great record, which is I think why critics have been so mixy and disappointed, including myself.
yeah. I'm gonna drop it down a couple points. I'm gonna go 6.5 for it. Yeah, it's not that I didn't like the record. It's just that I think it just comes down to at that point personal taste and kind of content and all that stuff. And just for the fact that I'm not really a big Drake guy to begin with. There's certain things about Drake that I do enjoy, but overall, he's not like an artist that I find myself ever really listening to or revisiting. So I'll give it a 6.5. I think I'm gonna chill at 6.5.
Yeah, an hour-long album, 16 tracks. I really only loved maybe 2 of them. And then I liked, 7, 8 of them. But I would skip like 7 of these tracks. It's a 6.5.
Yeah.
Because glimpses of what could have been. I don't
That's
know.
what
It's fine. It's
a lot
fine.
of it was like me wishing.
Yeah.
I was like, I like this. I just wish it was a little different. Like I felt like that on a lot.
I think
of
if I
Yeah.
loved 1 or 2 more tracks, it would automatically gone up a half or a full point.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I think for me it's like
6.5.
he should have either like taken this album and made it fun and a party and like a celebration, or he should have reinforced him saying to us when Honestly Nevermind came out, said, it's okay. You guys just don't get this. Well, then give us a Euro pop dance album that we do get. You know what I'm saying?
I'll never listen to this album top to bottom probably again.
Oh,
But
Yeah,
I'll listen to the 6-7 songs I liked.
Right.
I'll put them on playlist.
Yeah. Right. So there you have it. Let us know what you guys think, Alex.
Of Drake's last 5 albums, none of them have gone above a 7 on average scores.
ooh,
Interesting.
yes,
On
he
the
is-
internet average scores?
Yeah,
Correct. That's going by all the aggregate scores.
yeah, he is in a critical decline from his, heyday.
From his heyday.
His first 3 albums averaged an 8.6.
Yep,
But he's a hits guy now. He's been a hits guy for 5 to
Past
almost 10 years now.
past decade.
Yeah.
I don't know. I
So-
listened to this album and I was like, yeah, this is fine. And then I listened to Nothing Was the Same. And if you're reading this, it's too late.
And fun Drake fact, he is a nephew of Larry Graham from Graham
Central
Station.
and
Sly and the Family Stone.
Oh yeah, that's
Noted
right.
Jehovah's Witness.
Is he?
Drummer?
He
Larry Graham has a bad history.
indoctrinated Prince to become a Jehovah's Witness.
No way.
Bass
Bass player.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. Interesting.
Aubrey Graham
There you go.
is Drake's real name.
All right. So let us know what you guys think. Let's move on, though, on to the second album review that actually came as a recommendation from Jeffrey. So, Jeff, why don't you kick
Did
us?
it?
Yes, it did.
Okay. This is a new album by an artist named Joji. The album is called Smithereens. Joji is a.k.a. George Miller. He is a Japanese-born American. I assume he's a citizen now. Maybe not. I don't know. But he was born in Japan, lived in Japan through high school, and then after high school moved to America. He is half Australian, half Japanese by parentage. So he grew up speaking both English and Japanese. And this album had the big single, the first track, Glimpse of Us. And he became the second Japanese musician to crack the top 10 on the Billboard Hot 100.
No way.
Because that song hit number 8, I think. It debuted at number 10. It was a big TikTok ballad. You would recognize it in this past month that's been played out. And the last time a top 10 song was made by a Japanese artist was like in 1962.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
When you said he speaks Japanese, and in my head went, he speaks Australian. And that's why I started laughing. If you want to rewind, please watch Mike's face being like, why are you laughing?
And Joji he's been making music. This is his third album, I think pretty much just the last 5 years. He was a notable YouTube personality known as Filthy Frank. He was kind of like a homemade version of an Eric Andre style, surreal / somewhat offensive and absurd humor type of stuff.
Popularized the Harlem Shuffle dance.
Correct. Yes. He was one of the first videos that took the Harlem Shake by
Thank you.
Bauer.
I'm always bringing it old school. I'm like an 80-year-old man.
Hollow, that toe tappy, that mashed potato. And this is his music is like, you would think a guy who made like slapstick kind of offensive comedy YouTube videos wouldn't be able to make music that is like pretty much like very deep, I don't know, you judge it for what it is, deep introspective, but like R&B croony ballads and stuff.
Yeah.
It feels like, so like him being a YouTuber, like the second half of this record, which is centered on like his more like hip-hop-y based stuff, the first half of this being like professionally produced kind of ballads. I was not like prepared for like, this is like the new, I was like, oh, seems like the new adult contemporary. Like it's like, again, like has a lot to do with young pop people music, but it's like, it's ballads built on like the new pop structure. Like there's no like middle eights really on any of these songs. There's no like bridge or pre-choruses or anything. Like Glimpse of Us, the first track in this album is really great, but it's like it's like a loop of that piano thing, and it's really emotional and beautiful, and it's in and out before you really know it,
Oh yeah, this is a 9-track, 24-minute album.
Yeah.
It's like
It goes by so fast. That's what I was telling Luke earlier today. I was like, I felt like I blinked and it was over.
it's that TikTok music, man. You gotta make that shit in 2 minutes and 12 seconds.
Right. And so, what side of the album did you guys like more? Did you like the second side, or did you like the ballady heavy first side?
Ooh, I'm
which
kind
was
of
more produced.
I feel like I'm kind of split down the middle because I really enjoyed the ballad
Well, I thought
side.
I was expecting that second side went so like this is a lo-fi stuff. I'm like, yeah, it's lo-fi. This is like super.
It's highly
Lux.
produced
Yeah,
lo-fi.
right.
I think it's just more of the style of music it is. You could also tell, if we're talking side 1, side 2, you can tell on Spotify and on this album by the side 2 is all capital letters
Sure.
and
Yeah.
the other thing is grammatically correct. So
Right.
I like the singing and song, like the lyrics of the first half, but I like the music tracks of the second half
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
And for people who are unfamiliar with his music, he is like a middle ground stylistically in between James Blake and Frank Ocean, because he sings a lot in a lower part of his voice and then does a lot of like upper octave harmonies with himself. But it's I don't know, like soothing and supple and like
Yeah.
very smooth, like his the way he approaches.
I even like
Yeah.
the moods like he went through, like Dissolve, the last track on the first side,
Yep.
is very like reminiscent of like Oasis's like Wonderwall.
Yep.
Yeah,
Except
that strummy guitar thing.
yeah, and like he does like in each song in that first side kind of has its own deal. Like the glimpse of us is the piano, and then feeling like the end is kind, you know what I mean? And it flows well. Like feeling at the end is the hip hoppy one that's more like that. I just liked how he toned it out, and it wasn't all acoustic strummy. It wasn't all
yeah.
piano ballads. And I also did like how he did put the new pop structure on the adult contemporary styled songs. It was interesting.
Like, yeah, Glimpse of Us is like, man, like for all the hype that what's Ed Sheeran gets and stuff, I'm like, Ed Sheeran's he's like a good songwriter and stuff. Like how Taylor Swift, good songwriter, a good singer, you know, it's good. But like Joji's voice, the voice is so much, in my opinion, like leagues beyond like what Ed Sheeran does, because it's just like, man, I want to listen to that voice more. It's just like grabs you. It just like has
And
this depth. And
let's
stuff.
talk about that lyrical content in that song where he's saying like, I'm with somebody new, but I'm still thinking of you. And when I look into her eyes, sometimes I see what we used to be together. And that's some like interesting writing in the you know, it's a glimpse of us in the relationship. It's a great line. It's a great song. It's really cool. And I'm almost wondering if he's going to double down on that style on the next record and go, oh, I'm going all in and like making these full, like, are you going to put like Bridges and Middle Eight, all these full big songs?
Right,
or are you
right.
going to go more of like what's going on the second side? Both are interesting. And
The album before this was less short structure.
Right.
It's the album called Nectar. Yeah, I think he's talented. I enjoy what he's doing.
did you guys like the that song called Night Rider that starts off the second side?
Yeah.
Pretty interesting. But 1 a.m. freestyle, which is not really a freestyle.
Oh,
but
I like
has-
that. That
has
was one of my favorite tracks.
Yeah, I thought of you because it was doing that cool vocal thing where it went like, "Ah," and
Right.
like was like
Yeah.
doing with his own
Great
vocal.
piano stuff on that one too.
Yeah, and I really like this record. I like records sometimes that have the A and the B that are very different and stylistically almost completely different records. This is cool. I really like this, and like you said, that voice is much kind of more interesting than some of the biggest names that are getting that kind of recognition.
Yeah, I enjoyed this record, man. I really liked it. Side 2, I think you're right. Instrumentally, I enjoyed it more because I believe it's the blah 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 demo. It has the guitar and the beat thing, and then it goes into like that halftimey thing. But it sounds almost like it's not. It. I don't know, but it sounds less like it's a new part that's played slower and lower, as much as it sounds like the first part was slowed down. You know what I mean? It has that kind of a feel about it. But I love that, the way the drums and the guitar work together. Glimpse of Us was just like sort of this atmospheric, heartbreaking, album opener that I really enjoyed. Feeling like the end, that too many me too. Like that thing was like, I was like, oh, this is fucking great, you know. Like I enjoyed this. I thought this was great. This is like a great example of pop music.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like current pop music. I really enjoyed it. So
yeah, this is right in my wheelhouse of like what I like is interesting, kind of, you know, just like it's not challenging, but it like invites you in to listen and like want to put the song on repeat and like find the little nuances all over the place.
Again, too, if you are like into that Taylor Swift album, that's huge. Check this album out.
Oh, yeah,
Joji,
sure.
You will be into this album. It's got a lot of emotional depth to it. It's beautiful. It's given a lot of itself. So
yeah. Rankings, Jeffrey, would you like to lead us off? What do you rank this bad boy?
Yeah, this I didn't know how to approach this because it was like a studio album with only 9 tracks and 22 minutes, and I thought, is this meant to be like a full thing, or is this kind of just like I'm putting this out in the world? So because of that, it's kind of missing like 2 more like arresting, like, oh my God, songs. But this is a strong 8 for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll go. I don't know, Luca. Why don't you tell us?
I'll go. I'm going 8 on this as well
Yeah.
because I just like the perfect package. There's no dud song on this record. I love like you're right. It's not full enough to be like a classic full brevity, but it's so like kind of cute the way it is. It's like one side. It's the feels. I like it. I love shit like that.
Yeah, I'll go the same way then. I'll go 8 across the board. I'll join you guys because I feel the same way, man. And really, a 24-minute record, like what's not to love, man.
Yeah.
I love that because you can listen to it a couple times and it doesn't feel like you're like, I have this this monstrous record I'm trying to listen to. It's, you can do it a couple times. You can go back and pick out a couple of songs and
and if you like this, listen to James Blake, listen to Frank Ocean, similar artists who inspired him, and he had people work on this album who work with those guys. And
yeah.
Alex, did you like this record?
I did. I would honestly give it probably like an 8.2, 8.4.
All right. Yeah.
There you go.
I followed him through his YouTube career a long time ago, and he had.
I was just gonna say, I didn't mean to cut you off. Was this the dude that would go and like sync up his phone to like the Bluetooth speaker and like a okay,
No,
all right.
completely.
this is a guy who went around in like he had bits where he's in pink lycra, like
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, pink suit.
pink guy.
Yeah, he had a I don't remember the years. I think it's 14 to 17. A career known as Pink Guy, which was very memey, just like the YouTube poopy era of music production and like really weird abstract music videos and stuff. But then when he turned to Joji, he made some really heartfelt songs and totally like turned his career into something else and became known as like, oh, this was the guy that did crazy stuff, but has like a whole nother side to him. It was like really eye-opening for a lot of people that followed him prior.
Yeah.
He seems
All
like
right.
the anti-Oliver Tree.
Yes.
There you go. The anti.
Yes.
I fell down to earth. Anyway, let us know what you think in the comments below. Did you like this Joji record? We certainly did. We're in the 8s, so let us know what you think. Before we finish, as always, like, comment, and subscribe, guys. You know the drill. And share the podcast with all your friends and all that good stuff. Also, give us any shout-outs or if there's anything that you want us to cover, any topics or anything like that, let us know because we are open to ideas and, we appreciate the love and the support that we get from everybody and all that. So
We'd like to apologize to the Nazareth estate.
yes, love hurts, doesn't it?
I don't want to apologize.
Jeff has hard feelings. We'll see you next time.
All right.
Thanks
Bye-bye.
for listening.